Hey, it's Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it is Wednesday. It's May the 6th. This will be our chart lesson for today. Interesting day today. What you're looking at here is a 6,000 volume chart. I started out on the 800 tick this morning, made a few trades, but I kept watching this chart. And the more I watched this chart, the more I liked it. There's some excellent setups on here. Um, so I like this chart. Um, will this be the one we settle on? I can't say that yet, but at the moment, or for today, I really like the chart, and it looks really good. And so we'll just have to see. But there's some great setups on this chart. There's some really good trades on this chart. And just to give you some comparisons, this is one that I noticed really. Notice what happened here. There's a new low, pullback first entry, pullback second entry. So that's a failed second entry long right there. And that sets up a great short right off a trend line that comes right off those first few bars up there off the closes. And that's your second touch. So this confirmed it. And that's a nice setup. But if you go and look at the 800 tick chart, where is it? I guess I must have deleted it. Well, let's go look at a 1,000 tick because there's not much difference. But this is that same setup, and notice the new high, pull back, first entry, and you never get that failed second entry long that sets you up. It's really dangerous going short at that point. Of course, if you let's just see if the trend line sets up that way too. So if you draw that trend line off those closes, you don't get that trend line. That looks more like maybe a midline in there, um, and maybe it is, but it just doesn't set up like that other chart. So even there, you don't kind of get it there. Let's see. We may find another way to get there. Yeah, there's still a two-tiered channel here for the most part, maybe. Um, I don't really, I don't really like that, but it's there. But you don't find that the way we normally find what we're looking for. And if you go back to the 6,000, historically, the way we've done it, the 6,000 volume, is that, I'll draw it off those first few swings, the first few closes like that. And look, there's no doubt that's a valid trend line until we get a break right here. And if you get the equal distance, we did overshoot it a little bit, but this market was relatively weak, I would say. We did overshoot it here. But notice where it bounced when we came back. And you can see that line coming into play there. And you could see it coming into play right through here, even though we overshot it and then overshot it again. Market was just weak there. That happens sometimes. It's not real common, but it happens. You see overshoot. So, needless to say, that's just one example. This is a repeat pattern of this, or this is a repeat pattern of this. Let's see what this one looks like on the 1,000 tick chart. And you can see no comparison. You just get a failed break higher and you don't even really get a good signal bar. There's a bunch of overlap there. And if we go back to the volume, you've got that new high, pullback first entry, pullback second entry, it fails. Right where you would expect it, strong resistance there. So yeah, this chart just looks, I'm really impressed with this chart. That's all I can say. Um, so I will probably start with this chart tomorrow, and we'll see how it goes. And I may change my mind again because I was almost sold on the between a 6 and 800 chart on the ticks, but if is it really what they're trying to do? This is some of the theory that's out there, and there's some validity to it. I discussed it with another trader on some of the yesterday's video, but the theory is that maybe they're changing this on purpose to thwart the price action traders. Who's to say? I mean, I'm not behind the closed doors of how they do. I'm not privy to that information, so I don't know why they did it. But suffice it to say that what they've done is really, um, you can see by what I just showed you that it really does hide a lot of the details, and that's why we used a tick chart, because of the details. It could just be a coincidence, but they could indeed be trying to thwart our success. And because there's quite a few people starting to get this, and you don't hear this. I mean, they've been teaching price action forever, but the real story has only gotten out to a lot of traders in the last couple of years. And so my guess is the success of those price action traders is really put a damper in things over the last couple of years. So um, maybe there's something to it, maybe it's not. Doesn't really matter. All I can tell you is that we found something. You could see the difference. I just showed you two patterns, and that's just two, but there's a lot more in here, and so it gets fairly interesting. Notice this move coming down and the little break higher that gives you a chance to get in this shorter term. There's actually a real short term channel working down through there. Go ahead and put it on there because I didn't have it. Wasn't paying a lot of attention to this chart early on. But notice that little break higher and that trap right there. But if you go over to the 600 chart, well, it does have it on the 600 chart. I'm pretty sure it wasn't there on the, well, let's just look at the 1,000. Yeah, see the 1,000 tick chart, it's not there. The 800 tick chart, it was not there. It just, I don't even think there was a green bar on that 800 tick chart. It just went straight down. And so you don't see that trap and get that opportunity to kind of know what's going on there, where you do on this one. You get a pretty nice setup there. So so far I'm impressed with this chart. So I'm going to continue to watch this one really closely, and we'll see what happens. Okay, I had a extended interruption there, so I can't remember what we left off about, but I'm just going to go on and get into the trades. I like this 6,000 volume chart. I may open a couple of more volume charts tomorrow and just try a couple of different sizes, but I really like this chart today, and I told you all the reasons. I showed you some of the examples of why. So I think this is a really nice chart. But anyway, the first trade I saw this morning, there's actually a shorter term uh, trend line working up through this, um, working up through here. But this is more of a trading range. It looked real rangy. The bias was kind of up, um, but the first opportunity to enter was the short that I saw, and this was real close to me making this one green, but I still like it for red. Um, and the reason being is you got this high and you made a double top, and then you pull back and you make a lower high, and generally that will lead to a pretty good move down. And so I like that. It's kind of a long trap. It's a double test of this area. It's a double top with a lower high. So it really shows that the buyers are dying off, and that some heavy selling is coming in. You can just see the selling coming in right here for all these bars. Prices are moving up there, but there's more selling than buying up here. So I like that one. Again, it's borderline green, but what I liked about this one was you could get in this with a lemon order, a tick or so back in here, but you really could have just used a stop because it is similar to a trap. I mean, this thing you had a second entry long here, and then notice this pullback, moves up, pulls back. So this is similar to a second entry long here, but this thing should have gone on higher here at this point. And so the fact that it turned back down, um, you're going to have some trapped longs there, and they're going to have to exit. And that's all they did. They trapped them, got them to exit, and then they ran it back up. And they probably sucked in a lot of shorts. But that's why I like to scalp out and hold a runner. So if it goes on down like this, you profit from it. But if it doesn't, you still get your money, and you look for another entry, and you get stopped out on your runner, and you look for another entry. But this was a good setup, quick, easy scalp. and then you got another trap. It was actually tempting to go long right here, but there's just so much overlap right in there, and it looked like that on all the other charts. Um, and it is a failed second entry short. Actually, looking back at this, um, this is probably a long, but I didn't see this at the time. I didn't like it. I didn't really see it. It might have been because I was looking at the other chart at this time. Let me go look and see what it looks like. But I think I was looking at the other chart at this point. And you can see it doesn't, it looks very similar, I guess, but it's got a whole lot more overlap. But anyway, looking back at it, I think you could go long right there. And so I'm going to give that a blue circle now. But I just didn't see it at the time. But looking at it now, um, it looks pretty good on this chart, actually. So, another thing I will say too is when you're short, and that's probably why I missed this. When you're short and you suddenly get a reversal, it's hard to convince yourself to swing back the other way. It takes a lot of discipline, and it takes a real um, you got to really be confident in what you're seeing. And with all that overlap and stuff there, I just wasn't that confident that we were going to push higher. I really thought we were going to sell off. And I was right. It just came a little bit later. And a lot of times it won't sell off till they make that trap. And this is that trap to the long side. Look how the buyers all start jumping in. And I guarantee they ran a bunch of stops right here. And all of a sudden it reverses. And that's why. Look what it caused. Look at that. That's what causes those big moves down, because they got everybody loaded up to the long side and just reversed it. And most anywhere you go on the internet to read about trading, they will teach you this is what you should have done was buy right here. Where I will say just the opposite. 90% of the time, you should sell if you're going to do anything. And look what happens. But yet I still see everywhere I go they teach you to buy that, and it just doesn't make sense. I mean, sometimes, like here's one where there's a low, and you could have sold that one and done pretty good, but that is a rare thing. Usually it will break lower, fail, and go back just like it did here. Even if it's going to go lower, it'll back up before it does. And so that's the worst thing you can do is buy and sell a breakout. If you don't buy the breakouts high and don't sell the breakouts low, because most of the time it's going to be a loser. It'll work just enough to keep you trying to do it, but for the most part, it's going to be a loser. So anyway, next trade, there's strong resistance here, so you definitely don't want to be getting long up here. You just got to kind of sit tight and see if you can get a setup for a breakout pullback long. But it breaks out and then it gets back in here, and notice the new high pullback. There's a first entry right there, pullback. There's a second entry. But by the time the second entry enters, it looks more like it did down here, and it's back below the high. So just sit tight, don't do anything. And guess what? It breaks up, it traps everybody and turns down. Just have your stop sitting right there, a sell stop. And look at that thing go. And it doesn't get any better than that. That's as sweet as it gets. And you don't know it's going to do that. You figure you'll probably come down here and try to test this. And if you get through there, you'll probably try to test this low. But man, this thing just keeps on going. And you got a nice little channel working down to help you figure it out. And it's really almost tempting to enter right here. But we've moved so far, I just don't see any way that it's going to be safe to enter there. You need some kind of correction. And you get it over here. We'll talk about that. But nice setup here. That's the kind of trade we live for. And that's why you hold runners right there, because that one runner could make you, if you just wrote it down, if you just wrote it to this low right here, that's 2081 or so. And you would have entered at 2090. That's 10 points on one runner. And so that's 10 scalps. And it don't take but a couple of those to, to add up. So, but why I like this chart here is because you got that little trap right there, and it turns up, kisses the trend line, turns back down. Just go short right underneath that, because I guarantee you everybody was looking for it to pull back, and they trapped those people right there. And once it started going lower there, I would look for a measured move like that right there. And you can see that's exactly where we got to when it started trying to correct, and then it trapped some more and went lower again. This thing got really, really weak. But we moved down, we got the break here. I moved to a new low. So it was tempting to start looking for a long, but you can tell that, look at that resistance. We've touched it once, 2 bars, 3 bars, 4 bars, 5 bars, 6, 7. So by the seventh touch, you got to assume that this thing, there's strong resistance there. I would have liked to have seen it break higher and then go down because I love those traps like right there. But the fact that it can't get above there, it's telling you something. Um, so notice that that kind of set the high right there, and it tested it once, twice. That's like the double test rule. This looks like a little trading range. There's enough room to get out before you get down here. So I like that for a short. And then when it tested it again and closed, the closes were way down here. That's like a low. That's like a double top with a lower high almost. And that's what we had here on this bigger pattern. And that was another quick, easy scalp. You didn't get anything more than that. There's a breakout pullback short here, but we still haven't got back to the EMA. We had a measured move. We had more than a measured move. I just didn't like going long there. Then you make a new low, and you had to hope that maybe this is right here. You draw it right off those closes like we talked about. Um, and it fits perfectly right down through here. Actually, I drew it down through here first and drug it up, and then you can see it fits right down through there perfectly. And we start correcting, and that's where you want to wait and hope you get the good setup. If it never gets back there and you get a good setup, you might take it like you did here. But it gets back there. Notice this new low, pull back first entry, pull back second entry. It's not a great setup bar, but look where it's at. It's that resistance again. And this one went a little bit higher than here. So pretty good setup. You might have used the limit order here, but I'd say because of this resistance and the possible trend line, just go short there with a stop. And again, you don't get a runner on this one, but it just takes off like a rocket. And you almost could re-enter right here, but I wouldn't recommend it. I just didn't like entering right there with that overlap. So, but if it would have broke higher there and turned back down, yeah. But I don't like it on that, just being an inside bar there. So I didn't mark that one, but it was a nice move. So, and then we reverse. And you're looking for a reverse, and you wouldn't have this bigger channel here yet. You'd still be working off this one. So this was the first break. So you're really looking for a short. There's a second entry short right here, but again, I was a little bit leery of it because of all that overlap, and and I'm just kind of watching this 6,000 tick chart. I kind of switched over to it, so I wasn't 100% sold on it yet. But looking back at it now, once it broke higher and turned down, you really should have gone short right there, because that's the first break of this bigger channel here. But when we got that failed break lower and it bounced right off that suspected trend line right up through there, I like that for a long. And there's actually a failed second entry short here, but you don't want to go long right there. And you may not have had that line there, but still you got 3 highs right there, 3 bars, 2 of them are dojis. Not a, I just don't like that for a long, especially when it's been this, it's been this weak on the way down, and you just had your break, so you're not really looking for longs yet. But this is like a little two-legged pullback to the EMA. It's a second entry long, and this is, even though this has got a little red to it, that's kind of like a reversal bar. So I like that one to the long side. Um, I didn't expect it to continue going higher here. I just really thought we'd probably find resistance back up here because this is the range. And I don't have the line here, so let me put that there and talk about that too. There's support right across there, you see, and you're This is like a failed break, and you can't. You're almost always going to come back and test this. So that's another reason I like that long right there. And there was enough room to go short there and get out before here. So looking back on that, we could make that one green if you noticed it. But I was a little leery of it because of the overlap and the fact that this chart, I'm not 100% confident in this chart yet, and so forth. But nice long, and then it gives you a short. I didn't like the first setup bar, but when it broke higher and turned down, just go short there. And that really, um, and it went right through the trend line. Um, this trend line was not real. I wasn't real confident in that until it continued to hold later on. But so that was another reason this is not a sure thing until you get it confirmed. And this, you might could count that as a confirmation right there as well, because we're using a couple of bars here, so it's similar to a couple of swings, and it's actually a little further up, like right there, and you can see that it's still closed inside. So that made me a little bit more confident in that right there. But then it turns, you get this double top right where at right here, and you can see the range there, and it broke higher. Just go short right there. And a lot of times you'll get that correction, and then you'll get another big leg down that makes another new low. Um, and I thought maybe we might go make a new low there, but it bounces right off the low again. And this is a second entry long, so I liked it to the long side. Um, it went straight on through, and it pulls back, and look where it bounces. It tests that. This was resistance. Now it's support. Look at that bullish bar. I like that one for a long. And again, I thought we'd rally on out of here, but this really confirmed this trend line. Um, and you should have had that in place by now, because you could have just drawn it across those closes right there. And definitely once you got that point there, you should have had it. And so when it came back, and this is that same similar pattern, got a new high, pull back first entry, pull back second entry, and look at that reversal bar, just go short. Another really nice move down, and it reverses. And now it's obvious there's a bigger pattern, the trend is down. You got to be careful about any more longs until you've had you've got some reason that says, hey, a long's probably okay now. But that's a nice second entry short right there. I definitely would have used the limit order here, because you got that. If this would have broke lower, it was okay. But once this one closed inside that one, you had to be leery of it. So when it broke lower, I'd use a limit order. And you could have got filled on this almost halfway back. But, don't try to get too greedy. Try to get a tick or so back in it. And another great move. And any runners would have been safe here, both here and here. So some pretty good opportunities there. And then it heads on down. And there's a failed second entry long here. Notice the pullback first entry, pullback second entry. So you really could have gone short right there. But I really wasn't sure. I actually had the trend line, and this probably is a little lower down when you. And so it's really just a first entry counting from this direction, and we are working down. And also, you're looking for a measured move down. Actually, measured from the wrong place. From right there to right there. And so a measured move, we almost already had it, and it's bouncing. So I was just a little bit leery of that. But when it tries to go higher again and fails and turns down, I liked it then. And then you actually get a failed second entry long right there. So, and it's actually a breakout pullback short as well. So that one, I missed that one too. But you could go short right there. I like that now that I'm looking back at it. And then you get another pullback, first break. And this is a breakout pullback short from that pattern right there, from the rest of that range that came across there. And notice that's where we bounced. And that's probably why I didn't, looking back at it, I'm guessing that's why I left that one off. Um, I'm sure that's why I must have left that one off. So yeah, looking at that now, I wouldn't go short into that right there. Um, it's too risky. Wait on the pullback, and there's really a breakout pullback short right there, but that's too bullish a bar, and then you get this real bearish one. So you can go short there. We're moving down. You get a pullback. Um, second entry short right there. Notice new low, pullback, first entry. Actually, there's really a second entry short right there, but I didn't like the signal bar. I didn't like all the overlap. So wait on one off the high. And notice there's your first move down, pullback, and there's your second move down. So you're waiting on your second move. Nice bearish reversal type bar. Failed second entry long right here. Just go short again. And it's also a breakout pullback short from that support right across there. I went ahead and circled this. This was right at the 2 o'clock hour, but we overshot our bigger channel down here. And notice you got a first entry, pullback, second entry, and we're not anywhere near back to here. We've had a big move down. There's a break of this little channel here, and there's two measured legs. Look at this leg, little correction, then look at that leg. It's basically a measured leg. So you're expecting a reversal if you're reading it right. You can see that's a perfect measured move. And so you don't want to go short there, but if you get a failure, that's where you want to go long. I love those setups, and that's why I marked it. And we rallied pretty much the rest of the day. So, but that got you into the 2 o'clock hour, so nothing else. So yes, I like the 6,000 tick chart. It feels very similar to the 2,000 tick chart we were using. It brings back the volume into the equation that we seem to have lost based on how they're counting the ticks now, from what I understand. So this may be the route to go. I'm gonna probably open up maybe a 4 or 5,000 tick chart, maybe a 7,000, just to see. I don't think you want to go too much bigger than this, so I'm thinking if anything we might drop down a little bit. But I'm going to open one. I'm going to probably start on this chart tomorrow, and I'll probably open one a little bit smaller and just kind of watch a couple of different ones, but paying most attention to this one, and we'll see what happens. But so far, I'm really impressed with this chart. I mean, it looks really good. Um, like I said, there's a few extra things in there that you wouldn't have seen on the other charts. So maybe they're onto something, that they're trying to hide the ticks to try to maybe throw the price action traders off. And there's a lot of price action traders that don't use tick charts. That's kind of unique to us, and you'd like to think that maybe we were hurting them that bad, but I'm not sure. I'm not going to say yay or nay. It'd be interesting to know if that had anything to do with it, but who knows? So, but that's some of the theories that some of them were kicking around there on the video today. I know. So, and it has some validity. So don't take that the wrong way. I'm just not sure that we're that important or not, but maybe we are. So, but I'm gonna wrap it up for the day. We got almost 30 minutes worth here. I think we're on to something. I think we're going to be okay. The data is still good. I'm not switching. I'm staying with CQG because they're all going to switch. And I've always been happy with CQG. It's a good data provider. And now it looks like probably that they're the leader. They're the first ones to make the plunge, and it sounds like all the rest of them are going to have to make it. So why go through this again? Let's resolve it now and move on. So I'm staying with it. I'm staying the course. And even trading the tick chart, the 600, I'm not beyond any fear of trading any of them if you get the setup. But there's a lot more setups on this chart than I had on the other one. And I showed you some of the reasons why I'm pretty impressed with this chart today. Now tomorrow it may look different. I don't know, but today it looked great. I liked it, and I'm leaning toward it. So, but I'm going to wrap it up. We'll be back again to do it tomorrow. This is Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.